All right, welcome back. We are here to get started painting daffodils. These are my favorite flowers, and I do love painting them. All right, I'm going to get timer started. Okay, so we're going to get started with size and placement on this 8 by 10 panel. Now, I think an 8 by 10 panel is a really good panel size to start with when you're first starting out. It's a good enough size to put a still life on, but it's also so you can get a good still life set up on it, but it's also small enough that you could do this in a day, even when you're first starting out. Okay, now you notice I'm not being precious about any of this. Some of my lines are wonky, but it's not about perfection. Nothing in this program is about perfection. It's all about progress, and especially this, we're just getting a view of it. So one of the things we want to do is we want to see where is this going to fit, and you can do with either a mass in where you kind of do a mass in like that, or you can do the outside edge of it. Let's do kind of the outer envelope edge of it and start there and see what that looks like. So we're going to start here at this edge here, and then it kind of comes across, and then we got to angle downward and then kind of back a little bit. Oh, actually, let's come back here almost straight down. Yeah. Straight across. And then, okay. So we got a good envelope, outer envelope. And I'm trying to think, is this good? I also like to make sure there's going to be enough air around the flowers. And we're going to have about 1/4 of an inch on 1/8 to 1/4 inch on each side where our frame is going to be. So between the frame and space. And I love for my flowers to be able to breathe. Another thing is my flowers grow. So no matter what size I start them at, they generally do grow. So we have to keep that in mind. So I think I'm pretty happy with it on the whole. And I love this little picture here. So we've got this rounded base here. It's like a little sphere here. It's really cute. And then we've got this beautiful curve here and curve here. And then here's the handle. And we continue out here. And we can see a little bit of it there. Okay, and then we've got that little bit of a flower here. And then we've got these flowers here. Okay, so we've got this yellow and blue. What do we want to do for the background? I think I want to go back and do a kind of a neutral one. Get up. Hold on a second. Get out. Sorry, I had to take a break to get a cat out. Oh goodness, the things you got to do, right? Where was I? Normally she's not intrusive, but she sure was this afternoon. Not sure why she's being so intrusive. So I've got Naples yellow, yellow ochre, black, raw umber, and white, and getting a neutral low chroma or dull green. I think I want it to be a little bit lighter. This is going to be kind of a middle tone. I'm choosing a middle tone because middle tone is the best if you want to show off color. And I'm wanting to show off the color of the blue pattern on this miniature water pitcher, and then the yellow of the trumpets on the daffodils. And blue and yellow is one of my favorite color combos. One of my favorites. Now, one of the things that I like to do is I like to get the background painted in before I do much else. And the reason why is because it really helps me to be able to see and to judge values on everything else. On the white of this, the picture, you know, how deep can I take everything else? How colorful do I need to make everything else? It informs so much. See, I'm just painting over a lot of stuff. And that is fun. I like painting over things because what I don't want to have is I don't want to have a lines. And when I made that color up, I made it a little bit cooler than the original color. Also fine too. I'm not going to sweat over that. I'm just going to put some of this cooler color in other places as well. All I'm going to do. I'm getting a bunch of white and kind of mixing in a little bit of this background color. And we're going to start putting in the tabletop value and color. So I want a little bit of color, but mostly I'm trying to get this value in there. Going even lighter here. Notice on the tabletop, I'm going horizontal strokes, but then when I'm in the background back here, I'm using vertical strokes. You're going to do the same thing if you're in a landscape painting as well. One of the things that I love to use in a painting is something called mindfulness. I don't know if you've ever heard of that about mindfulness, but it helps me to stay engaged with the painting, helps me to incorporate quote unquote mistakes into the painting. And studies have shown that when people paint or play music or sculpt, any of the arts really, and they do so mindfully, their music or artwork is much preferred, and it's much more pleasing. Now I know that I enjoy painting it more as well. Okay, now here is one of my tricks with the white. Is one is that white is more it's not as dark as what you would think it would be, and for color harmony, one of the things I'll do is I'll mix up kind of a lighter version of and normally I'm adding a lot more white to it, but the background, I'm making a lighter version of the background and making that the shadow color. And I think I do need to add a lot more white to this. I'm making this the shadow color. It's kind of a green color. Now this is going to do a couple of things. It's going to cause the this to go more into the background, kind of blend in with the background. But it's also going to create a harmonious painting. And I really don't want too much attention on this vase because it is an attention grabbing vase, and so I really don't want too much attention on it. I really don't want too much. I want a little bit more value down here. Okay, and I want to apologize ahead of time if I start singing. I love listening to country music while I'm painting, and it's country music that I grew up listening to as a kid. 70s, 80s, 90s. I stopped at the 90s. And it's sometimes I get a little carried away with that. Let's make this area right here a little bit lighter so we can get it to stand out just a little bit. Because we do want to be able to see it, but we don't want it to just pop quite that pop as much as it would if we made that. Now, alternatively, you could have used raw umber. Could have used raw umber and white. That would have been another one you could have used. Blue and yellow ochre. Could have used that. That's a nice one that I sometimes like to use with these white ceramic vases with that blue on them. So ultramarine blue and yellow ochre. Okay, so we're about the halfway mark, and that's good. I'm going to mix up kind of a cooler, um, just a little bit cooler shadow color for these trumpets, and put that in places where it looks like it needs a little bit more coolness. Got some right here. And this just adds in some, we have in cool and warm. And cool and warm is always relative. And so I'm making up a shadow yellow that is relatively cooler than that orange that I had. So it's not ice cold, but it's just a little bit cooler. And giving me another opportunity to kind of look for the shape of these the flowers, the cone. Remember how we had talked about, or we talked about another video about a cone shaped? So we're just keeping that in mind. What I'm doing is I'm mixing up white and raw umber. I love this for the shadow color of these, the white flowers or the white petals. Sometimes when I'm painting, I have a hard time coming up with the words, so you have to forgive me. Okay, so getting these. Now, when we're doing this painting here, we have to keep in mind that we're going to need to come back and fine-tune some of this. Like I may be painting too much over the orange that I've started here, and we may need to come back and say, no, we got to come back and paint it over too much. And a lot of times we do have to do that, especially when we have colors that are pieces that are in front of. So if the orange is in front of these, or this yellow is in front of these white petals, we're going to have to come back and clean that up, and that's fine. We are fine with doing that. I'm going to use, and I'm using genuine Naples yellow in my white. You could use light yellow, cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow lemon, a touch of that, touch of yellow ochre. What you use is not as important as that you want to give this white a little bit of color so that it's just not pure white. And we want to go in and start adding in these petals here. And so I'm wanting to put some of these up on YouTube. I can't play my music like I really like to. I like listening to the albums, LPs, vinyl. Kind of have to get up and go get those changed over, so it may not be worthwhile to do it while I'm painting here for you, right? May not be worthwhile for that. But I can't do it if I'm going to end up putting it on YouTube. I was kind of thinking about putting some of these up on YouTube. And, you know, as time goes on, I may want to put some more up on YouTube later on. We don't know. Anyways, I'd like to have options. And I've got music playing in the background that may be copyrighted. I won't have all that many options. So what I'm doing is I'm playing it in my ear. I'm being selfish. You don't get to hear this beautiful music. Who knows? You may not even think country music is beautiful. I'd love to hear though. What do you listen to while you paint? You know, I've heard some artists say that they listen to podcasts. Some people listen to classical music. So what do you listen to? Okay, so I'm taking a step back and kind of looking at this and realizing that I need to make these petals a little bit lighter. They're a little bit too light. So that they've got to be lighter than the background, or we've got to make the background darker, one of the two. Okay, I'm switching to a smaller brush. This happens to be a number 1 round, but you could still use a filbert if you wanted to. Pulling some medium yellow and some light yellow, mixing it up. Mostly this is kind of a medium yellow, and we're going to start working on trying to find that fringe, delicate edge, filigree edge. Trying to find some of these where these lighter colors lie. Where's the light hitting it at? Now we're going to this one. And we're going to be fixing some of the drawing that maybe we've missed, or that we had messed up when we were painting the white petals. Oh, this is a good song. Oh, Daddy. Oh, I don't know. Listen now. Right here beside you. You're gonna do fine. All you've got to do, keep it between the lines. See, that's what I'm doing for you. I'm right beside you. And I'm just helping you to keep it between the lines. Right? Keep it between the lines. Good song there. Got just a teensy weensy bit here. Got some lights here. So I'm not using quite as light of a touch because I'm wanting this to get mixed in more with the under painting. Put that filigree right there. Got some little bitty streaks here. And we've got some nice big bits of paint here. Okay, so that's my second 15-minute timer. Okay, so let's get some of this dark color here because we cannot have UFOs. UFOs are what? Ungrounded floating objects. I forbid them. Ha 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 ha. No ungrounded floating objects. There's no controversy with that, is there? Well, one thing that helps is they've changed the name to, is it UAPs? Yeah, Congress has changed the name to UAP. So they officially are calling what we normally called UFO something else. So now, artists, we get to keep the UFO for our paintings. All right. So I want to keep these lessons short for you. I know that your time is valuable, and I want you to be able to get into painting. So one of the ideas with this is that you want to make almost like a glaze, and I've got ultramarine blue and white mixed in here, and I'm just going to gently do this. And one of the things I want to do is I want to make sure first and foremost that I'm going with the object, the shape of the object. So I want this pattern to describe as much as possible the shape of this object. Okay, now we've got ultramarine blue, and I'm going to use black. You could use alizarin crimson, or like I have a Tuscan red, cadmium red, a couple of different options. Sometimes I've even used just pure blue, but I want to make it a little bit darker. Because I want it to further show that this is the shadow, that we're on the shadow side. So I'm making a highlight, then I broke it, then I'm going to make it again, and I kind of make a base to set it on. Okay, and there's always a little bit of one right here. Okay. Add some lemon yellow to this. Try to get some of these highlights to stand out a little bit more. Where do I want this to be seen? So getting a nice thick bit of paint on here, right? We're trying to find some, and we're going to go with where it seems to be going. We want to describe this petal. So as we're doing this, we want to describe the petal. So everything that we're doing is we're trying to describe the shape, the texture, something about what we're describing. We want to try to describe it with our brushes, as brush strokes, as well as with the color and value that we choose. This is handy, getting that edge of the petal right there. Got another. Okay, so to finish up these, I'm going to use some that light yellow. It can be cadmium yellow lemon. It can be cadmium yellow light. But you want to add that on top. I might have added a bit too much to that flower. But you want to add like little highlights to it. Show it where's the light the strongest. And then we also want to show part of the texture of it. So how can we show the texture of it? Or the drawing of it? What makes a daffodil a daffodil? And one of it is this delicate edge. On the edge of these trumpets. And let's get some yellow here. And again, when we do the reflected light on here, we're going to go with the shape of this picture. Okay. Add some white to this one. Okay. So if you want to see how I finish this painting, you can follow me on Patreon. But right now, this is a really good start. And I will be finishing this up over on Patreon, and you can sign up and follow me there. And I'll be sure and post the final painting for you.